coordinator and the facilitator, and has done the tireless work on everything from assisting with uniform development to policies and procedures. So she's actually going to be the one to come up and say a few words. Belinda?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Belinda Roman, and I am honored to stand before you as the volunteer coordinator for the newly established police volunteers at the Los Alamitos Police Department. I am here to share some insights about the volunteer program, or known as VIPS, that have been recently implemented. This program is the city manager Chet Simmons' vision, who envisioned a platform where dedicated citizens from our community could invest their time serving the broader community of Los Alamitos. And under the direction of the police chief, the vision has materialized into the group of volunteers sitting here before you today. This program took its first steps with a recruitment drive in the middle of 2023, and by August of this year, the first 2 volunteers came aboard. The second recruitment phase in October of 2023 resulted in an addition of 2 more volunteers. Within a short span of 6 months, these 4 volunteers have become integral to the day-to-day operations at the Los Alamitos Police Department. Moreover, they have actively contributed to the success of various events, from Celebrate Los Als to Winter Wonderland. We are excited about the continued growth of the program and plans to potentially welcome 2 more volunteers very shortly. On our ongoing 3rd recruitment drive closing just yesterday on January 15th, we had garnered a significant interest with 8 applications received. The significance of the VIP program lies in its ability to connect with the community. Whether these volunteers are assisting at the front counter, conducting patrol checks, managing vacation checks, or contributing to city events, they exemplify the commitment of citizens who genuinely care and want to make a positive impact on our police department. Please allow me to express my gratitude to the exceptional work of the 4 current volunteers. Anna Billick, Art Renee, Daniel Patz, and Randy Smith. Their dedication is invaluable, and they deserve our sincere appreciation for giving so much of themselves with the expectation of so little in return. In closing, I would like to acknowledge the collective effort of everyone involved in bringing this program to life and express to continue expanding our team of dedicated volunteers. Thank you for your time and your support. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Okay. So if I could have Robert come up as well. So I had them come and present the VIPS program, and the program has been nothing but a raving success, which is why we're going to be expanding the program. But if I can have the representative from Tree Taw's office step up as well. So what they don't know is that the point of bringing the VIPs in tonight, they have met some of the council before, is to highlight the work that Robert and Belinda have done with the program. So they're the reason that we're here, and it's their vision that they created, their vision that they've been carrying out to help make this program such a success. So I think that if you could join me, I'd like to give them a round of applause for all the hard work that they've done. One second.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Assemblyman Tree Taw, we would just like to recognize your program and all the hard work that everyone has done. Congratulations. I didn't realize quite how brand new this program is. Chet and Chief Claiborne, every time I turn around, you guys have a new program that's off the ground and running. It's just amazing to see. So thank you for everything that you do for the community. And then Robert, Linda, we have a certificate for you on behalf of the Assemblyman.
And if you guys hang tight 1 second, we'll have the council come down to join you as well.
All right, my shoes are comfortable.
Testing.
This in the way? Two, three. Thank you. That's the whole idea. That way.
Okay, next is one of the more joyous parts I get of my job. If I could have Mr. Hector Renteria come up and join me, please.
All right.
Okay, let's see. Officer Hector Renteria is 26 years old and was born and raised in the city of Long Beach. He attended Millikan High School and continued his education at Cal State Long Beach and graduated in 2019 with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Officer Renteria attended Golden West College Police Academy and graduated in 2022. He has prior experience with the Downey Police Department, where he was a police aide before becoming a police officer. Officer Renteria is of Guatemalan descent from his mother's side and Mexican descent from his father's side. He is fluent in Spanish. His parents raised him and his 4 siblings, 3 older sisters and 1 younger brother, to be successful in every aspect of life. Officer Renteria would like to recognize the endearing and loving relationship he has with his girlfriend, Madison, who is also a police officer. It is the support from their families, along with the rest of the friends and family, that has allowed Officer Renteria to become the person and the officer that he wants to be for the city of Los Alamitos. When the opportunity presents itself, and given the opportunity, Officer Renteria would like to be part of an effort to combat mental health illness, along with other agencies and something along with the Orange County Healthcare Agency, possibly on their CAT team, which is a crisis assessment team. Officer Renteria is an avid comic book collector and car enthusiast, and he is also an all-around sports fanatic. Here we go. We're going to get reactions here as I read off his teams. The Las Vegas Raiders, the only baseball team, the LA Dodgers, the Lakers, and the Anaheim Ducks. So join me in welcoming Officer Hector Renteria. And go ahead and let us know who's going to be pinning your badge today.
It'll be my dad.
All right, Mr. Renteria, if you can please join us. So before we conduct our oath of office, as if there's not enough pressure already for you to be able to pass probation, allow me to share a little nugget with everybody here. When I was hired by the city manager here behind me, my #1 mission was to get fully staffed with the department. So we are at the 2-year mark now of my tenure here, and we have had, the council was gracious enough to add a sworn funded position to the department. So you make us fully staffed for the first time in, I don't know when anyone can remember. So. All right, young man, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Hector Renteria,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear
that I will bear
true faith and allegiance
true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation
that I take this obligation
freely without any mental reservation
freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully discharge
well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
duties, the duties in which upon I will enter.
Congratulations. All right, we have another presentation that is outstanding for this department. I'm going to introduce the operations captain, Captain Luke South. Can you please come forward?
Thank you. Hope. All right, I am so very excited to be a part of this program because, like most of you, I love dogs. So feel free to, not there, watch the screen over here. We have lots of pictures of our new canine. So I'm going to give you a little backstory real quick, starting at the beginning. Almost 2 years ago, then Mayor Shelley Hasselbrink gave us the green light and put her support on implementing a new canine program here at Los Alamitos. Now, once the word got out, it didn't take too long for Kenny. Stand up, Kenny, because we love you. It didn't take too long for Kenny to find out and donate the entire amount to purchase the canine. So his only ask was that we name him Elvis for obvious reasons. Dale, are you here? Dale Salamanca also donated the money to help with the purchase of equipment and training for our canine, so I want to thank her as well. Dale? Good. Along with that, Assemblyman Tretaw is a canine advocate and worked to kill anti-canine legislation in Sacramento. He also partnered with the Los Alamitos Police Department and joined us for the canine selection process. So obviously all this support was amazing. Then was the part where we had to find out who's gonna take care of this dog. So we conducted the recruitment and selection process, and Officer Mark Navarro was chosen to be the canine handler, and Sergeant Nestor Rodriguez was chosen as the canine coordinator. This is Sergeant Nestor Rodriguez right here. A little bit about Nestor. We're very lucky because he's the only one in the department with any canine experience whatsoever. So thank God we have him. He's the canine program and is going to take it to new heights here. Once we got the people in place, we all went to Adlerhorst, which is where we purchased our dog. Mark, Nestor, whole team, we all got to go out there. It was a lot of fun. And this is our guy right here. The dog's on the left. All right. Officer Mark Navarro, along with his new partner, Elvis, attended and graduated from the K-9 Academy, so they're now fully trained in apprehension work. So don't run from the dog. We would like to thank you all who helped make this moment come to fruition, including the city manager, the city council, the Los Al Foundation, and all the members of the newly formed K-9 unit. So now you can stop listening to me and we get to meet Elvis. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our new K-9, Elvis.
Hello, everyone. This is Elvis.
Chief.
I'd like to thank everybody for showing up for me. I mean, for Elvis, I'm sorry. No, it's great. It's been 20 years since we had a K-9, right? So there's a lot of pressure on me, but all that pressure will be relieved because I want to thank the council for your unwavering support on this. Kenny, your generosity, Chief, always backing me up, and would also like to thank my Captain South, and my sergeant back there for, setting up policies and procedures as far as the legalities of everything. Everything. There's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors, and they put a lot of man hours to, kickstart everything as well. Chet Simmons, city manager, thank you as well. I'm not very fond of speaking in front of public. As you can tell, my voice is shaking. But a little backstory of how I selected Elvis was actually he selected me. He wasn't the type of breed that I really wanted, and I spoke with a lot of K-9 handlers and a lot of my friends, and they told me, the dog's gonna have to choose you, and you guys are gonna have to mesh well. And when we went to Adler Horse, it was night and day. He chose me. He came up to me, and that's when I knew that he was gonna be mine. So that's it. Thank you.
So I'd like to add just a couple of things. So being a smaller department like we are, we can't do what we do without the support of the community. And Kenny and Dale, I cannot thank you guys enough for your generosity to be able to help get this program going from scratch. And the captains, Captain South and Captain Gallagher, for those of you who don't know, I cannot even begin to describe to you the man hours we have put in behind the scenes to try to get the policies, procedures, contracts, agreements, and everything in place to start a program from scratch. It is endless. And once again, all of the K-9 Association guys who have all came here in the back, I can't thank you guys enough for taking the time out of your day to come out here to join us to show your support for now a new handler in the county. And we, of course, will have him joining you guys at the meetings here soon. And I can't thank you enough. And if I could have the council come down and join us, please, for a quick photo. You don't want to be sneezing? You can get a little closer.
I'm allergic to dogs. I love the dog. I'm allergic to dogs. Don't mind.
He just wants his toy. Okay, wait, don't leave yet. Kenny and Dale, can you guys join us up here, please, for a photo?
Okay, inside.
We good? Okay. Thank you, Kenny and Dale. And one last thing, can I get the Canine Association guys? Can you guys all come forward, please? We have to, we can. Yeah. Emily, do you want some in the back? He's tired of having help jump in the back row. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Council, if you can come back to the front, please.
Okay. Oh, getting our steps in today.
Okay, if I can, we have a presentation we'd like to make for the Starbucks on Catella and Los Alamitos. If I could have Bernie Martin, who's the store manager, and David Soto, who's the shift manager. If you guys could come up here, please. The Starbucks store located on Catella and Los Alamitos, they've been a great partner with the city, especially with the police department. We have the Coffee with a Cop event and our winter toy drive and Bearcat event. So, your involvement and generous donations of your gift and time, we're able to donate remarkable amounts of unwrapped gifts to our local charities. And we want to take this opportunity to thank you and convey our appreciation for all your efforts and continued support for the city of Los Alamitos. So, thank you. Would you like to say anything?
No, just thank you for all your support. You guys are this one of the best cities and makes our store just remarkable in the relationships that we have with you guys. So we thank you and hope to see you back and again as many times as possible. Thank you.
Pictures. All done? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey, Shelley. At this time, if we could have Craig Kohler come up. So Craig is our finance director, and the city's annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022, qualified for GFOA's Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by the city, its management team, the finance department. So we just want to say congratulations, great job.
Sure. This wouldn't have been possible. I have a team of dedicated professionals that work tirelessly and endlessly, that support me, and gratitude goes to them as well.
All right, thanks again, Craig.
One more. Sorry, one more. Sorry.
Is Joe Pena? I don't see. Oh, okay, right there. Okay. Here you go. Sorry.
That's okay.
You want me to call him back in?
I know. Well, if the chief wants to come out here. Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Pena. I'm a representative for Senator Janet Wynn's office. And I'm here just to present the certificates of recognition to K9 Elvis and his handler, Officer Navarro. Just thank you for the commitment to public service, all the long hours, the dedication, the training, and just for making our Los Alamitos community safe. So congratulations to the entire department and the community.
Ron, you know how to clear a room. Wow. I think it was all the Dodger talk.
Oh, okay. Jen, what'd you do? Yeah, you know, shower, little perfume.
I knew that was going to happen. That's why I say this is last.
Wait, what? You sure? She was trying to sit over here with that picture.
We should be good. Okay. What's that? Okay. All right, now we're going to move on to oral communications. At this time, any individual in the audience may come forward to speak on any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Remarks are to be limited to not more than 5 minutes per speaker.
Wow.
Lost you.
Something I said? Okay. Next section is updates from the mayor. I'll keep this short. we have Save the Date. Race on the Base is returning to the reverse triathlon. Oh, is returning with reverse triathlon and 5K run walk on Saturday, April 13th, 2024 at the Los Alamitos Joint Forces Training Base. Look out for registration information coming soon. Reverse triathlon, you just swim last or something? Or? Okay. Weekend of Art is scheduled for March 16 and 17 at Oak Middle School. Visual arts and performing arts applications are now available on the city's website at www.cityoflosalamitos.org. Okay, any updates from the city staff?
Mr. Mayor, just one, and I'd actually be turning it back over to Chief Claiborne, but before doing that, I just wanted to mention a couple things. First, obviously, we've seen a lot of programs come to fruition here in the last couple of months, K9 being one of them, the VIPS program being started, but as the chief alluded to earlier, reaching that mark of actually having a full complement of officers is something that has not happened here for at least a decade. And so before he gives you an update on, I'll call it the next set of plans, I do want to thank Chief Claiborne for the work that he's put in. There isn't a meeting that goes by that we don't start counting as to how many people we have in the room or how many we need in the room. And he has been working tirelessly to ensure that we reach that magical mark. So, Chief, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Now I would like to look for something that's not in here. All right. I'll have to wing it. All right. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem and the council, I would love to take this opportunity to enjoy the last 15 minutes of being fully staffed, right? And take a victory lap and get all the praise and the high fives for all the staff at the PD for everything they've done to get us to this point. But unfortunately, you don't pay me to do that. You don't pay me to rest on my laurels or to stop pushing to improve the department in every way possible. So I'm going to propose something for you and the Budget Standing Committee to think about, which is to make us not be fully staffed anymore, to start thinking about the next steps of officer number 26 to be funded. Okay, so the next proposed idea that I would like to present to you would be placing an officer on a federal task force. So we, the command staff, the captains and myself and Robert Acosta have had a presentation done to us by Homeland Security Investigations. And I understand when you hear the phrase Homeland Security, you get certain ideas that come to your head about terrorism, but I think what gets lost in that is that there's so many other facets that Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI, covers, and I'd like to help paint a picture for you of that today and why we would like to place somebody on a federal task force. So what is HSI? I'm going to work without the mic here for a second. So HSI is dedicated to detecting and dismantling transnational criminal networks that target American people and threaten the industries, organizations, and financial systems. Of course, they do combat cross-border criminal activity, but they also investigate criminal enterprises that engage in a broad band of illicit activities, including narcotics smuggling, human trafficking, child exploitation, gang violence, money laundering, intellectual property theft, and customs fraud, and identifying and disrupting the movement of illicit proceeds generated by these criminal organizations. So, you know, Craig has done a great job of educating me about how some of the finances work. And for the record, the city manager, Craig, and I, we've been discussing these for quite some time to lead us to the point where we are. So I wanted to thank them for all the work that they've put in helping me. But what is the benefit for the city to be able to have number 26 be on a federal task force? So asset sharing back to the PD and the city of Los Alamitos is going to be weighted on a percentage based on the TFO, or the task force officers' participation in each investigation. So it's based on the man hours that the person we assign there is involved in each case. And so when the TFO is first placed inside of a federal task force, they will not be associated with many investigations. So the return on investment will not be significant initially. The more time that they spend there and the more investigations and man hours that they put in, the higher the percentage of we get coming back. Now the task force, the specific task force that they will be working on, there are 2 other cities that are currently on that financial task force, and that is Cypress and Brea. So currently they have to split the proceeds that they get when they do asset forfeiture. And that money, of course, the feds end up taking a percentage off the top, and the remaining balance gets split up between the remaining agencies. And for a while now, it has been just Cypress and La Habra. Brea was the third one. Brea pulled out about a year ago, and that's when we were made aware of that and started all this back work to try to get involved in this process. So if we were to place an officer on this task force, we would then begin asset forfeiture sharing with the other 2 agencies. So overtime expenses. So unlike some narcotics task force that generate a significant amount of overtime, and this task force does not. So HSI has the ability to pay the department for overtime that an officer can work up to, I believe it's $17,500 per officer per TFO per year. And so, of course, I asked, do they currently have the funds to be able to pay that? And they do. And do they currently, how often do they hit that cap of 17.5? And he said they've never hit it. So we wouldn't have to worry about that. So the way this would work is on the front end, we would cover the cost of the officer being there. We would then split the asset forfeiture coming back. If the officer ends up working any overtime, up to 17.5 would be covered by by HSI. Okay, they provide other support, and an example they gave is in La Habra, who has a TFO on this task force. So they had a gang homicide investigation that was initiated, and the task force, HSI, not only hosted, but they also paid for a wiretap that they were able to conduct, which assisted them in their investigation. And there's no nexus back to them. It's simply because we place somebody on the task force that we are now a partner with the feds, that they're willing to help us with any investigations that we get on our end. Now, force multiplier. So there are crimes that they can now prosecute federally if we are having an issue with getting these addressed locally. And some examples of those are organized theft groups, human trafficking, fentanyl trafficking, and child exploitation. So they have the ability to go through filing a case federally, which when we have any issues locally. Okay, so our TFO would be assigned to the Financial Investigations Task Force, but he or she will be able to work on a litany of task force that they have that are assigned out of that office, HSI Orange County. So any assistance that is needed that our officer ends up putting man hours towards, that then in turn gets us a percentage of any asset forfeiture that they get back that we would then be eligible for. And this is real property as well as money. So it could be a home, it could be a car, or anything else that they seize. They will then sell, monetarily get compensation for, then we are eligible for a percentage of those funds. HSI Orange County has 40 investigators that are assigned to it. So should we have anything that occurs in our city that we needed assistance from those investigators, simply because we place somebody on the task force, we have all of them at our disposal to be able to utilize. And there does not need to be a nexus back to a federal crime. They'll do it just because they're our local partners. Now, they have a flyer, and unfortunately I couldn't fit it all into one, but this is basically a synopsis of an annual report from HSI that they put out in 2022. And you'll see big numbers like $3.9 billion in assets that they may have seized. It talks about all the various crimes that they investigate, child exploitation, everything else that I mentioned earlier. And then as I put this flyer up there, this has some very specific numbers as far as 1,170 child exploitation victims that have been identified, and on and on. So I don't need to cover all of these, but in what I'm trying to give you a snapshot of is the variety of things that this task force is involved in or connected to that would open us up to. The TFO that we place on the task force would not only be able to get asset forfeiture coming back to us, but they get the experience of working all these different investigations. We will then eventually rotate that detective out, rotate another one in, and they get to bring that experience back to the department. One big feature that this brings to us is the back end of what the city manager comes to me and tells me, number one job is to get fully staffed. Okay, well, we all now are on the hook for keeping them here, right? That is not a job just to me. And this is one way that I can offer a specialty assignment. Now, should you discuss this and choose to approve this at a later date, this would enable us to be able to have a staggering number. We would be able to have 1 in 5 officers on our department that would be working a specialty assignment. There is no agency in Orange County that can say 1 in 5 officers are working a specialty assignment, and we would be the only one. And so Chet asked me to get to fully staffed. Great, we're there. How do we keep them there? This is a way we can keep him. One of many ways that we all collectively need to work on, but this is one. Now, when I started this idea over a year ago, the concept was a 3-for-1. I was trying to find ways to be able to save the department money and allow us to be able to overhire. However, in time, opportunities have availed themselves to me, and so that concept is kind of changed into what I'll call 4-for-2. I could easily simplify this and just tell you, hey, I would like to, I have found a way to pay for 2 officers that will cost the city nothing. All right, I could simplify that and say that, but in today's day and age, that would not be as transparent as I'm going to be with you now. So to be even more transparent, it would be to say that this is a 4-for-2. But the part I want you to wrap your mind around is of those 4 people that we would be hiring, 2 of them are already on funded positions that are being covered in the current budget. So I'm asking for the 2 more, and I will explain to you how we get those 2 covered. But when I say 4-for-2, 2 of the 4 are already in the budget. So those are already covered, and hopefully that'll be clear when I get to the end of this. All right, so the SRO. The SRO is currently funded by the state tobacco grant. So when we filed for the grant, how much of the grant of the officer's salary they pay for depends on how many other cities apply for the grant at that time. Because we ended up filing during a grant cycle that had a lot of other cities applying, we were only able to get 50% of the officer's salary as opposed to 100 that some other cities got. This is a 3-year grant cycle. In 3 years when this thing is up, we will apply for the grant again. I think we're a year in already. Then we potentially could end up getting a full coverage. But I'm going to give you today's numbers. Today, we have 50% of that officer's salary that is being covered by a grant from the state. So that's 50% of his salary, none of his benefits. Now, OCAT, Orange County Auto Theft Task Force. This is one of the positions that is not currently funded in the budget, but has a net cost of $0 to the city. Not only is the salary, benefits, pension, everything is wrapped up in that because the DMV charges all of us when we register our vehicles. So this is a fully funded position so that all we do is assign somebody there and we bill back to this detail or to the OCAT, and it is fully funded, so we get reimbursed 100% for the officer that's there, or detective. Next spot is the motor officer, which is currently in the grant. Now, unfortunately, Officer Cruz has been deployed. So when we applied for the OTS grant, the Officer Traffic Safety Grant, they will cover the cost of a motor officer. But because Officer Cruz was going to be gone for about 10 of the 12 months of this grant, we did not ask for his salary to be included because we would have been giving back 10 months of his salary. So the next grant cycle that comes around, which is actually now that we're about to start applying for it, we're going to ask that his 100% of his salary be included in the grant, but it will not cover his benefits. And the last position would be this HSI task force, not currently in the budget. I had their special agent in charge run some numbers for me, and he covered from 17 to 22, and it was about a 5.5-year span. He took all the asset forfeiture of one of our neighboring cities, which is the city of Cypress. He took the TFO that has been assigned to there, looked at all the numbers of what it costs or what they have received back in asset forfeiture money to give you an understanding of what we would be gaining in return. And over that 5.5-year span, it roughly came out to just over 60% of his salary. So when you cover the fact that we are going to get 50% of the SRO, of his salary, 100% of OCAT, 100% of a motor position, and 60% of the HSI officer. So I tallied up the benefits as well as the salaries. And what that comes up to is of the total cost for 4 funded positions, the cost of these 4 officers on a department would roughly be 46% of what that would cost. So it's even less than 4 for 2. It's actually 4 for 1.9. So it's costing us less than 2 officers to be able to get 4 people on the department. And this is something that I'm hoping that you will consider and placing some, when the Budget Standing Committee meets, about placing somebody on this task force. Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
2 quick ones. If you could tell me, why did Brea pull out?
I do not know. And there's one other thing I forgot to add to you, and this could be related. The numbers that I provided you from 17 to 22, you remember what happened between 17 and 22? It's called COVID. So the money asset forfeitures numbers are probably on the light side. So that delayed all of the asset forfeitures being processed through the court. So the money was not coming back as quickly. So I think that is why, do not quote me about why they pulled out. But once your officers connected that investigation, even after they pulled them out, they'll still be getting asset forfeiture money coming back to their city for every investigation that that detective was connected to. And that'll work conversely for us. We won't have as many in the beginning when they first get assigned there, but the more time they were there, the more investigations they'll be connected to, and the more money we'll get in return. I would love to be able to sit here and tell you that during non-COVID times, they would be able to seize more assets. But I'm trying to keep what we're talking about realistic and real numbers. During COVID, they were able to pull down just over 60% of that detective salary.
Okay. And my second follow-up question is, you said the 1 in 5 of our officers.
Yeah.
That's due to our size, though, right?
It does have a factor.
But that makes us more attractive.
But my job was not to get to the size of another agency. My job was to get fully staffed and to keep them here. And this is how we can do
I'm
that.
saying that makes us more appealing.
It does when you talk about 1 in 5. So now our officers who end up on these specialty assignments and start talking to other people, now the word gets out. And, you know, I'm not saying I get ahead of myself, but there may be a day where we have a conversation about 27, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's get through 26 first. Oh, one last thing. If we were, I shouldn't even say if, even under our current standings, the average on the western states of officers per capita of residents in a city is roughly, on the good side, about 1 per 1,000. In this city, we have more than 2 per 1,000, and we're still able to function under the same general fund amount for the PD that we have been working under, just finding alternative ways to add more bodies to it. But for us to be able to say that we have the highest officer per capita numbers in the county and more specialty assignments than any other PD in the county, I think says something and will make us an appealing spot for in the future.
Small but mighty.
Any other questions?
That's all I have, Mayor.
We'll move on to warrants, and just remember that if there are any questions, they'll be noted by the staff and followed up upon later. So are there any questions regarding the warrants?
Yes, I do. I have some questions. Good evening, everyone. In regards to page 19, I noticed that the Good Evening LaSalle line item, that there is 2 differing expense allocations, one for community development admin and the second one for special events. Is there a difference between those 2 expense allocations?
I'd have to research that.
Okay.
I will say, Councilwoman, just because it did involve various departments, that they probably are separate charges for those various departments, because every single department was involved in the development of that program.
Okay, because it's also repeated on pages 16 and 17.
Okay. And we can get you a full accounting of it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. In regards to the Pacific Security Equities on page 10, could you provide an explanation regarding the admin flate fee in the amount of $1,181.95?
We definitely can.
Okay, appreciate that. And is that a one-time fee or is that going to be ongoing?
I will have to get a breakdown of how exactly the fee structure works, if it's annual or if
Would
it's
have
a
to
one-time
research-
fee.
Yeah, have to provide research.
Okay. And then also on page 11, in respect to Susan Sachs Clifford, what is the purpose of the two fees amounting to $1,350?
And again, we can get through the backup to that, of course.
Okay, do you know the purpose of that?
Yeah, I believe she does the psych evals for us.
Oh, okay,
For law
great. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. In regards to page 16, Winter Wonderland supplies, there are 3 fees that are expensed to community outreach and also special events. Is that the same thing, which is also referenced on page 10?
I have to provide research on that, follow up.
Okay, and how long will it be until you could just provide, would it be like a week or so?
Try to get it back as quick as possible.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Also on page 17, in respect to the JFTB tree lighting supplies, same thing. Some of it's expense to recreation administration, and then some of it's expense to special events. So I just want to make sure that if it's all supposed to be one expense allocation, it should be expense to one allocation, or if you could provide a reasoning or backup as to why it is allocated to 2 different expense allocations with the same description.
Okay.
That's not a problem. But I will say this just generally, that when we have different events, we do allocate funds from different portions within a budget. That's typical standard practice, simply because there's obviously different monies that come from different accounts. And they also might have said that when we do budget planning at the beginning of the year, we say that, well, there's going to be an expense that might actually fit better under administration versus it might fit better out of outreach. But sometimes those are, I'll say this, not commingled, but they have the same, I guess, goal at the end of the day. But we still try to keep those costs separate. But it probably is for the same exact item. So.
Okay, yeah,
Craig,
just maybe.
Craig will be able to give you the background.
I appreciate that. Yeah, maybe it'll be easier if it's like delegated to a different description, so it doesn't seem like it's synonymous for each expense allocation that's different.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Okay. Can I get a motion and a second to ratify the warrants?
I just have a quick couple.
Oh, go ahead.
I just have a quick comment, if you don't mind. I'm not sure why we didn't receive the advanced warrants this time.
Yes, we actually had a slight misunderstanding about an email that did go out. It was supposed to go out on Monday and ultimately didn't get posted until Wednesday. So that is an oversight, but we did correct it.
Okay, thank you.
So we will be returning to the Monday prior to the council meeting as opposed to the Wednesday that happened this week.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to review the warrant. Is it possible to, pop in sometime this week? I don't really have prepared questions, but is it possible to pop in and maybe go over those sometime this week?
We can make time for you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions?
I'll go ahead and move it.
A second.
Okay, can I get a roll call vote?
Roll call. Excuse me. Mayor Nafolda?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink?
Aye.
Councilmember Doby?
Aye.
Councilmember Hibbert?
For the reasons stated, no.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes, until those concerns are corrected, I'm going to say no.
Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All consent calendar items may be acted upon by one motion unless a council member requests separate action on a specific item. Does anyone want to pull an item?
Yes, I'd like to pull item 10B, please.
Okay. Would you like a staff report on 10B, or do you want to have a specific question?
Just a few questions I'd like to direct to staff. Mr. Doubt, could you confirm if Section 503 of the City of Los Alamitos Charter states that the compensation received by city council members for their services may be changed by the majority vote of the electors of the city voting.
Yeah, if you could give me a moment, I'd be happy to look at the charter online. And
Sure.
Unless, Madam Clerk, do you have a hard copy by chance?
Unfortunately, it's been removed from its location.
If you'd like, I can read section 503 of the charter verbatim. It says, section 503 Los Alamitos City Charter compensation. As compensation for their services, the council members shall each receive compensation at the respective rates in effect at the time this charter becomes effective, provided that these rates of compensation may be changed by the majority vote of the electors of the city voting for such change in accordance with the state law of the state of California, provided further that the respective rates may also be changed according to any other applicable provision of state law of the state of California.
Okay. Additionally, according to section 36516 of the California Government Code, in cities up to including 35,000 in population, that a salary of $950 per month may be provided to each member of the city council, and any decrease in salary must be approved through an adoption of an ordinance. Now, in regards to 10B, that since there isn't a reimbursement for the mileage for one-day events, and it's based on the council member's salary, that would lead to a decrease. And as such, wouldn't that require an ordinance based on the California Government Code Section 36516, and also based on Section 503 of the City of Los Alamitos Charter, that states that compensation received by city council members for their services may be changed by the majority vote of the electors of the city voting?
In response to that, I'd note that Government Code 36516 applies generally to general law cities. This is one of the areas where there actually is a distinction between charter cities and general law cities. So the city of Los Alamitos, through its charter, is not bound by the government code in that respect in terms of setting compensation for its council members.
Okay, but according to Section 503, any changes to compensation would have to be through a majority vote of the electors of the city. Is that correct? Voting according to the applicable provision of the state law of the state of California.
In what aspect of compensation are we referring to here with the travel policy? Is this reimbursement or annual or monthly salaries?
Is it's reimbursement because of the mileage reimbursement exclusion, and is based on the salary of a council member. That would mean that the council member salary would be decreased based on mileage reimbursement that would no longer be afforded to a council member.
I think there may be a meaningful distinction between reimbursement for mileage versus compensation awarded for monthly or annual participation on council. But I have not had an opportunity to delve into that other than your line of questioning tonight.
Okay, because it also pertains to ordinance number 0901 that was adopted on September 5th, 2006, which clearly stipulates that any other amounts that are exclusive to the salary would be considered compensation and would be such as actual and necessary expenses incurred by such council member in the performance of official duties for the city of Los Alamitos. So if there is a mileage reimbursement based on 10B that would no longer be afforded to a council member using that mileage reimbursement because of their salary, that would mean that any expenses incurred would reduce their salary to pay for that mileage.
Yeah, I'm not going to have an opportunity to give you a firm written opinion or assessment of this based on this line of questioning. This is the first I've heard these issues raised. And I think there may be a distinction between salary that's established for the council versus a mileage reimbursement based on the activities of council members that would differ from council member to council member depending on what activities you're participating in.
And such, the mileage reimbursement would be exclusive to salary, is that correct?
What I'm saying is I would need to take time to be able to draw those distinctions and give you a firm answer rather than just on the spot being asked if this is something that is prohibited or requires more than the policy adjustment being called for this evening.
Okay, as such, that's why I'm going to vote no, because it's not clearly stated, and in regards to, like I said, ordinance number 0901 which was enacted September 5th, 2006, which specifically states such things as expenses that are exclusive to the salary of a council member. And also in addition to section 503, which goes over the compensation, and section 36516 of the California Government Code.
Okay. Before we go over to E, I'm gonna, if I can get a motion in a second
I'd like to say something.
about B.
Discussion on B.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I apologize, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so if you'll bear with me. I have a hard time with this policy, but I do have a specific question I'm hoping I could get an answer. So this policy in here, it is when council members go to events or go to trainings in the city of Irvine or, or somewhere that council member mileage is reimbursed $10, $15, $20 perhaps. In last year, in the calendar year, what was the total dollar amount that we are trying to avoid paying going forward?
I don't have an exact number for you, but I would say that it's between $800 and $1,500.
Okay. I'm concerned over the lack of, I'm concerned that council member training, excuse me, I'm concerned over the lack of value that we're placing on council members attending events. $800, $900, it's less than $1,000 for the council member has a city council budget is about $60,000 to $70,000. So for $1,000 for this, in a couple of election cycles, we're going to have men and women serving on this council who do not receive new council member training that was revoked last year. No training, and there's no incentive to, no financial incentive to accommodate council members for attending events. If one of my colleagues wants to drive to Irvine to attend a training or an event, they are going to learn something. They are going to connect with someone. They're going to meet. Something beneficial is going to come out of that, and they're going to bring that back to the city. I'm afraid that if we keep chipping away at council member training, at reimbursement policies like this, that this council will lack the knowledge to govern this city. As it is now, we put a lot of money behind training staff, sending staff to events, reimbursing their mileage because it is a value of ours. It's a value of mine. I believe it's a value of this council to train, educate our staff. There's not much left on the table for city council. The policy that we put forward last year, it benefits the mayor far more above the rest of the council. So we're okay now. We're okay this year. We have 3 council members who have been on this council for some time. This is my 13th month. I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned for, in a few election cycles that this city is going to be governed by council members who don't have the education, don't have the knowledge to govern the city. Thank you.
I have a follow-up. Is it possible, because I understand that this policy is streamlined, to anticipate a decrease in the council's travel and training budget? Is it possible to have an itemized review of the list of expenses that are incurred by individual councils so we can look at that and see how that contributes to the overall travel and training budget that we are attempting to decrease with this proposed changes to the travel policy?
So we do not currently track individual council member expenses for each individual council member. It's a group essentially. So the way that we would have to achieve that would be to assign staff to go back and pull out different, I'll say the registration for different events, the mileage reimbursements for different events that happen throughout the year, find the receipts that correspond to those events, and then tabulate it that way. It's a paper exercise at the end of the day, but it is I'll say an exhaustive one simply because it will be done completely by hand.
But it's a possibility for the year 2023, and I mean, I'd be glad to assist if possible, just so we can actually look at itemized comprehensively about how each council member's expenses are incurred and how we can decrease maybe individually so that we can cooperatively as a full council lead to the decrease in the travel and training budget.
If that is the direction of the council, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
In December,
I'm sorry, how much time would that take?
I would need some time to actually look and find out what that is. I mean, largely it would involve going through individual council members' calendars and looking for events that were attended, and then backing out events that weren't attended or that were free, and then looking for mileage reimbursements associated with those events. Obviously, those might happen in different time periods. Go to an event in February, maybe the reimbursement comes in March. So I'd have to ask Craig to do some looking as to how exactly that would come to pass and how exactly we pull that information together.
can we run a report just on the entire city council budget?
Oh, yes.
So would that be quicker just to run a general ledger report?
It would not necessarily, it wouldn't tell you, the councilwoman asked for individual council members, so it wouldn't parse that out, but it would be able to do it for the entire council.
I would ask Tricia, would that be okay? It sounds quicker.
Yeah, that would be fine, as long as we can itemize it so we can look at, hotel expenses or hotel accommodations versus flights versus meals, mileage reimbursement, just so it can be itemized and look at a comprehensive view of the council's budget and how it's, allocated to each of the expenses incurred.
Again, I would have to ask Craig about how exactly we would use the system in order to generate that information. But it is possible. It's just a question of time and resource allocation.
Okay. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Anything else on B? Okay, before we move to any discussion on E, I'd like to ask for a motion and a second for A, C, D, F, and G.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any abstentions? Any nays? Okay. All right. We also were going to pull E. So, Councilman Hibbert?
Thank you. I wanted to pull this one because I wanted to tell the story behind this one. This is the fourth time that this item is being brought before the council. And it's the fourth time because there were some issues. The first time, it was about my third month on council in March of last year. And I received an email about 10 o'clock at night, the night before the council meeting, and the email was from a member of the public saying that there's a $10 million error in your report. And if anyone emails me about $10 million, I'm going to get out of bed. got up, I passed on the email, that was correct. There was the franchise fees were overstated by about $10 million, which is about 50% of the annual budget. And the reason why I want to mention this, it has been corrected since, it's correct in today's report. The reason why I want to mention this is because in order for that report to be brought before council, all of our policies and procedures had to fail. All of our backstops, all of our audits. Everything had to be overlooked in order for that to get on there. And I think about it just in regular terms. If I work all year and I get a W-2 at the end of the year and it's half of what I'm expecting, it's half of what I earned, and I don't notice, that's concerning. This report was similar to that. With each time that it was brought before council, more information was provided. I was on several phone calls with auditors, particularly the state controller's office. I asked staff about the single audit that was submitted. And just through my phone calls with the state auditor, I found out that the single audit for this year that precedes me, I was not on council in 2021, so this fell in my lap. The single audit was not submitted. It was not submitted by anybody for this. I asked if that's normal, and I believe 3-page narrative was provided in lieu of this. Another one of my concerns was that in 2021, a line item on this report, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was investment income was about $70,000. And in this particular fiscal year that we're looking at, it was negative over $600,000. And I asked to see the underlying investments, to see what investments caused a swing of over $600,000. I didn't receive that. Several of my emails went unresponded to and unacknowledged regarding this particular report. If I had the energy tonight, I would go on about my concern for the city's finances. I don't have the energy for tonight, but I wanted to pull this one because the city, we need to do better being transparent with our expenditures. We are not transparent. We are not transparent with the taxpayer dollars. My colleagues and I are here to steward. Our purchasing policy is about $100,000, no questions asked. Those purchases are made, and it ends up on the warrants. And it seems like it's no questions answered. I don't know what else to do but to ask, please acknowledge my emails. When I'm asking for financial information, I'm doing so because I'm trying to steward taxpayer money. I'm the newest council member. I'm the millennial on the board. I'm brand new. I've had no training. I really am trying to do the best I can. I had a neighbor today even come up to me and ask me, what's going on? Please continue to ask for information. They're concerned. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
All right, let me, as it relates to item E, or just in general to these comments here, Chet, do you have a response to, or let me just ask, Emily, who's not responding to your emails?
Staff.
Do you have any knowledge of what?
So, just so I can take these one at a time, I think, and it might be add some clarity to the council members' comments and such. So there have been emails that have been sent to staff with regards to different requests for information. I've answered those emails with regards to what exactly the policies set forth by the City Council with regards to disclosing information are. As we've stated before, there is limitations as to what exactly staff can and cannot do with the financial reporting tools that we have today. We don't have a robust system that digitizes everything that allows for it to be searchable. This is all work that is done by hand. And so the requests for voluminous amounts of information take time to produce, and at some point they become counterproductive to actually trying to advance the finance department. I've stated openly here that our goal is to actually modernize and to bring technology into the finance department to allow for this stuff to be able to happen. That takes time to implement, especially given the fact that we are now in the throes of developing a brand new budget, developing how exactly we do our timesheets, and also how exactly all of that reporting gets done. That is an issue that I raised to the entire City Council and was supported in my efforts to continue the modernization and to take a step away from providing these types of reports that require a lot of time to develop. With regards to answering emails, I have made it a commitment to each one of the council members at this point that any email that lands at a staff's desk will be acknowledged within 24 hours. So I think that that issue has been addressed. And with regards to the work that has been done on this particular item, as you noticed from the presentation before, the Government Officers Association, or Government Finance Officers Association, just awarded this document and the work done on it an award of excellence. I don't take that lightly. I think that that shows a great deal of movement towards greater transparency, towards a greater understanding of what exactly the reporting details should be. And again, this reference to a number that was in the first document, when a mistake was realized, it was pulled. And so what I am taking, I think, some issue with is that this is an item that has been going on for about a year now and has been corrected and has been acknowledged by outside agencies as being essentially the standard that we should be holding ourselves to. And if an outside agency is saying that, then I think that we have to at least try to acknowledge that. And so I'll be the first to admit, and I'm sure that the finance director would back me up on this, is that we still have a lot of kinks within this system. I'll remind you that there was a time where we had no systems in place. We have an entire police department that does not have digitized records. We have been spending a lot of time going back and digitizing everything that has happened within the city clerk's office, and putting workflows in place in order to accomplish those things. These have been goals for the staff since I arrived here. I will be the first to tell you that I'm not happy with the speed that it's moving at, but I also know that we simply cannot move faster at this point. We have an army of consultants that we are trying to manage. We have different reporting mechanisms that have to be done according to state law, and those sometimes leave precious little time to do the pet projects that we want to do. That being said, I'm happy now that we are nearly fully staffed within the finance department. The projects that are the baseline for how exactly you build a new financial system, cost allocations, looking at Quimby fees, looking at the different ways that we charge our internal service funds, those all have to be done before you can build a new financial system. And that is what we are doing today. So I can understand what the councilwoman is saying, and I appreciate those comments, but I also think that there needs to be some acknowledgement of the movement or the success that has been achieved in the last couple of months, and also the work that's been done by the finance department in order to put themselves in a better place than they have been in the past.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah, because I just want to make it clear, I have a completely different experience. If I want to obtain information, it usually comes pretty quick. And just for clarity purposes, I just want to make it clear that the staff reports to you, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And the staff works for you, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. I'll go ahead. Any other comments or questions on E?
I do have one question. So when there is an independent audit, is that everything, or is it just what is presented by city staff to the external auditing firm?
So the difference between the current firm, which is Rogers, Anderson, Malady, and Scott, which is just recently hired for fiscal year 22-23, and the former auditor, Gruber and Associates, is that Gruber claims that their responsibility was only for the audited portion of the report. They claim no responsibility for reading the entire report, and that's what we're going to be receiving and paying for with the new firm.
So the new firm is going to be reviewing all the report, not just what is presented?
That's correct. The entire report from the front cover to the back will be read in its entirety by two separate partners.
Okay.
And that was the failure of the previous firm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, if I can get a motion and a second for item B.
I'll make a motion.
Item E is in Edward.
No, B is in Bravo.
I'll second.
We were discussing E's in Edward.
Understood, but we haven't voted on B or E yet. We voted on the balance, so the outstanding items are B and E.
Thank you.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Is that, you said for item B, as well as,
This is just for item B.
okay, I oppose.
Motion passes.
Okay, can I get a motion and a second for item E?
I will make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Okay, we'll move on to council announcements. This time, council members may also report on items not specifically described on the agenda that are the interest to the community, provided no action or discussion is taken, except to provide staff direction to report back to or place the item on a future agenda. We'll go and start with Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink.
Okay, not a whole lot going on because of the holidays, but everybody's back to full swing now. A couple of things. I just wanted to let everybody know that I've been receiving a huge amount of accolades for the center medians, the holiday decorations for all the various holidays, wanting to know who did it and everything. So Public Works got a few accolades on various different social medias and stuff. They thought it was great. We're not using taxpayer money. We're not using general fund money. And they just think it's just a really nice addition. It's the little touches. And I also wanted to, in introducing the K-9 tonight, that was just a really special time. I specifically wanted to thank again Assemblymember Tretaw. He came into office as our Assembly representative in December of this last year, 2022, and he found this AB 742, which wasn't really talked about a lot outside of the police circles. I didn't know anything about it. It was very much, I wouldn't say kept under wraps, but it wasn't publicized that much. And basically that was going to be prohibiting canines as a police source. They were going to limit their ability to do what they needed to do so much that it didn't even make sense for police to have canines. And we've watched the state just pretty much handcuff, figuratively speaking, our police officers in the tools and resources that they have, and all they're trying to do is catch the bad guys and keep us safe. So Tree took this on, and by June, AB 742 was dead. It wasn't tabled, it was dead. So that's a good thing, and he just dug that out, 6 months in, and this thing is a done deal. So I know we waited a little bit to make sure that this was going to go away, because what's the point? And it did go away, so he deserves a whole bunch of thanks for doing that from all the police departments up and down the state. And also, Mayor, if it's okay, we heard news that former police chief from Seal Beach, Joe Stilnovich, passed away unexpectedly a few days ago. He was 54 years old. He died in his sleep. He was such a well-liked chief in Seal Beach. Everybody knew him. He also happens to be a local Rossmore resident. His kids go to Oak Middle School. So just keep them kind of in your thoughts and prayers. But I would like to be able to close in his memory tonight.
Sure.
That's all I've got.
Okay, Councilmember Murphy?
Well, it was the holidays. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. I know I did. I spent a lot of time with family. Other than that, the event that I attended recently was for the Los Alamitos Chamber of Commerce, where we had a delicious breakfast at Epson, as always, and they had installation of the new board members, which was great, and we honored Judy from Green Street Interiors. We also gave an appreciation to Nisi Stewart, and I just want to say I just enjoy, so that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Hibbert?
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm looking to a fantastic year. That's all I have the energy for.
Okay. Councilmember Doby?
All right, well, my committees have been back in session already, so I went and hung out with my mosquito and vectors folk. My CEHD committee, which is an offshoot. OCOG is it's SCAG and then OCOG, and OCOG has representatives to SCAG committee. So it's a little weird, and I can explain it to you better if you really have more questions, but it's Community, Economic, and Housing Development Committee. And then I went to an actual OCOG meeting, and I have a question. Do we have, and it's for you, I know that we have a homeless liaison officer. Do we have like a hotline number or a text number or a way that, because I went to see my brow lady, and if you like my brows, I can tell you where she is. But she was mentioning, because she's in Los Al, she was mentioning she went to work a little earlier and there was a homeless gentleman out front of her office. And she was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So do we have like, how do we get in contact? Do they just call the non-emergency PD number, or is there a special number?
We would refer them to the county. It would take forever for somebody to come out. We would always encourage them to call the non-emergency line first, because we probably have the fastest response times in the county of any PD. So I would always encourage them to do that first.
Okay. All righty. And do we have, is there a way, I know that we have, and now I'm going to look at you. We have a list of all of our business owners. Can we just give a gentle push of that information out? Because I've been noticing drop-offs again lately, like on our main boulevards. I've seen a couple people this morning. So if we could just push that out again.
Yes, we can. And I do want to make one comment. One of the things that Mr. Noda has been working on with the chief of police and his command staff is largely I'll call it a partner in policing between the police department and the various businesses. Mm-hmm. And it's really about informing business owners and property owners about what exactly the tools are that they can use. Perfect. And so that's something that we actually are going to come back and present to the entire city council. So you're just ahead of us.
Well, I'm sorry if I spoiled anything.
So it's okay. It's perfect.
Okay. I've also been pretty quiet. I attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting as well. And it was a great group. It was a good way to start the year, and just want to encourage everybody to support the local businesses here in Los Al. And with that, we'll move into closed session. If the city attorney could move us into closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council will now adjourn into closed session to discuss item 12A as listed on this evening's agenda.
Oh, I don't need to wait for, are they gone, or?
Oh, yeah, she won't be here. I will just go ahead and let her know what time you adjourned. And
Oh, okay.
she'll prepare the minutes.
Okay. City Attorney, do you want to bring us back in?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. The council has returned from closed session with no reportable action taken.
Okay, and with that, we want to close, or we'll adjourn this meeting in honor of former Seal Beach Police Chief Joe Stelanovich at 7:58 PM.
Thank you.